Eileo guys, and welcome back. In today's little video, we're going to be taking a look at our newest baby girl, Okeanos. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. So starting off here with a fire type who's also a recovery type. Very interesting way to start things off here. She's sitting at nearly 31k HP, 2k attack, 2.6k defense, and 3.3k recovery. Yeah, I'm actually mentioning recovery here because she is a recovery type, and that recovery stat is very useful. And it's at a good value too. So I have very little complaints about that. But let's take a look at the skills. So for a 3-star skill, she has resistance down, which grants a 100% chance to reduce the enemy's resistance for 2 turns. Very helpful for any crowd control type Astromon that you may have in your squad. And then for a 5-star skill, she has immunity, which obviously grants your allies immunity for 2 turns. Very interesting kit too, because I mean she is a recovery type, so she is naturally a little bit less tankier than other Astromon. But with her coming in with resistance down on the 3-star skill, there is some application that could be applied if she was probably played with manually versus, you know, automatic, just because you want certain mons to have their resistance broken before other mons, especially if you're trying to crowd control someone like a Dark Purse, for example. And then immunity skill is a nice topping on the cake here, but there's been plenty of Astromon before her that have rocked immunity on the 5-star skill, so I don't see this one as super groundbreaking. Useful up to a certain point, but I don't think I would outright like Evo 3 this one just because. But with skill book, resistance down receives a 25% damage boost, immunity receives a 20% recovery boost, and it also goes up to 3 turns. Once again, it's really up to you if you want to go for getting this baby girl up to Evo 3, because you may use her. But I think even if you pull her and you're waiting on the other ones to come out, or you're waiting to pull the other ones, keeping her at Evo 2 and maybe using her for whatever content that you need to use her for would make sense. But really in this situation, I could pretty much just see PvP and possibly Elemental Top Chaos. Just saying possibly, but probably not. Alright, and then coming in right after that though, we do have Water Okeanos, who is a balanced type. She's sitting at 31k HP also, nearly 2.3k attack, 3k defense, and she's balanced, but her attack stat is that low. But let's go and take a look at these baby girl skills real quick. So for a 3-star skill, she has Exposed Weakness, which grants a 100% chance to expose the enemy's weakness for 1 turn. Very useful in a Titan situation to help line up some maximum damage from your Courageous Striker via the right lane. And then for the 5-star skill, she actually premieres the newest addition in terms of skills to the MSL squad, which is Offense and Defense. Could use a better name, but I don't have any control over naming conventions. But what this move does is it increases your attack power by 30% and defense by 50% for all allies for 2 turns. Very interesting. This isn't as potent as a attack up, but I do believe it's very close, if not the same as defense up. So is it kind of making defense up essentially irrelevant here? I'm not sure. We'll definitely have to see about that. But taking a look at the skill books, Exposed Weakness gets a 20% damage boost and goes up to, what was that, 2 turns. So books could be useful, but chances are doesn't really matter because Exposed Weakness should be going off regardless. So not a big kicker right here. And then Offense and Defense receives a 20% recovery boost and also goes up to, what is that, 3 turns. Could pay out here, but once again, if things are working out for you efficiently, you know, I wouldn't necessarily run to the gas station and try and get this baby girl booked up. Just FYI here. But let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about her skills, because with that lead too, which I didn't mention for the fire one because I didn't feel like it was relevant, that lead, that is just the same as Water Cure, for example, who lately, like the past year and a half, has been a very big staple in a lot of Titan teams and a lot of PvE teams, and especially when it comes to like the Dimension Dungeon, where I use her lead just to help mitigate damage from my team to hopefully make runs more stable in general. But with that lead, I'm not saying that this Astromon is going to replace Kira, because we don't know her timings yet. We don't know, you know, if she's more usable at Evo 2 versus Evo 3, etc. We don't know what that is here. But with Exposed Weakness and the Offense and Defense, things could be very interesting, because I do believe Water Cure, I mean, we're already here in the Water tab anyways. I'm sure you guys don't mind. She has, what, Exposed Weakness and Attack Up, which, I mean, we're losing out on, what is that, 20% attack? So I'm not saying that she's going to possibly replace her, but it's going to be a very interesting shakeup if I can actually find Kira. So yeah, she has Exposed Weakness and Attack Up, which Attack Up Doesn't really say, but I'm assuming has been 50%. I'll have to double check that later. But very similar kit to Waterkira, and I don't think it's by any means a coincidence. I do believe that this was definitely planned, but we'll have to wait and see. But you know, from what Waterkira has already delivered to the squad, especially with her Dirt Nasty Slow animations, things could get very interesting here, especially with that useful leader skill. But do keep in mind too, getting a variant Waterkira is easy. Getting a variant Water Nat 5, especially of one that you want to use for your Titan teams, is a whole different story. So I'm not saying the Waterkira meta is over, I'm saying we'll just have to see. And then coming in after that though, we do have the wood version of Okeanos, who is a tank type. And by the way, I mean, I don't really do this too much because of, well, the past, but I think her design is awesome too. I just want to throw it out there. Very good job, smart study in terms of her design. Anyway, she's coming in with 37k HP, 2.2k attack, and then 2.5k defense. Tank type, HP checks out, defense is pretty average, attack doesn't really matter because, well, she is a tank. But let's go and take a look at her skills. So for her 3-star skill, she has full buff breaker, which grants a 90% chance to dispel all enemies enhancements, including shields and immunity. So, you know, the lovely counter to the good old immunity. And then for the 5-star skill, she has an HP shield that lasts for 3 turns. 37k HP isn't anything to scoff at, but I don't think it's by any means. I'll have to double check on that, just give me one moment. But anyways, the full buff breaker skill gets a 20% damage boost and goes up to 100%, okay. And then the HP shield gets a 25% recovery boost as well. So once again, skill books I wouldn't deem necessary. 90% is already a good percentage as it is, and recovery up could be useful, but the way that she's geared up so far, I would say that this is more towards the Apophis dungeon, or more towards a PvP situation, just because of the full buff breaker and the shield. So not only can she dispel buffs from off the enemy, but she can also just shield the squad from taking excess damage. That's pretty much all that I can say for her in terms of this. Why would you bring full buff breaker into Titans? It's none of my business. And once again, with PvP, if you're fighting a big chunky team of Astromon throwing up buffs and shields and immunity, etc., this could be useful. I'm not saying it is going to be useful, I'm not saying she's going to be useful, but in theory, at least on paper, this could definitely be useful. But in terms of her HP stats, sitting at 37k, yeah, wow. And she calls herself a freaking tank type. I know that Draka is an HP aggressor, but still, that Astromon is level 60, Evo 3 with 50k HP. This baby girl is level 60, tank type, Evo 3 with 37k HP. Anyways, moving forward, we do have Light Okeanos, who is a defender type. Okay, she's coming in with 28k HP, nearly 29k. Interesting. Her attack stat is 2.5k, and then her defense stat is 3.5k. I love to see it. And also because she's a light mon too, that means that the RGB mons won't damage her as much, but you do have to watch out for the dark mons. But let's take a look at these skills here. So for her 3-star skill, she has attack down, which grants 80% chance to reduce the enemy's attack for 3 turns. Great. Very, very great value up there. I'm definitely down with that. 80% for 3 turns. That's awesome. For the 5-star skill though, it's offense and defense once again, and then this skill also lasts for 3 turns. So what's nice about this is that she comes right out the egg with a 3-turn debuff and also a 3-turn buff for the squad. I am 100% down with that. But anyways, attack down receives a 20% damage boost and it goes up to 90% for 3 turns, if I'm remembering correctly here. And then offense and defense receives a 25% recovery boost as well. So books once again aren't necessary, which I am super down with. You could book her up if you really wanted to, but I don't think it's required at this point in time. But with her not only decreasing the attack of whatever that you're fighting, but applying that offense and defense up, things could be very interesting once again in terms of the whole Titan meta, because attack down without a doubt is very useful, and the offense and defense is literally what our baby girl Dark Venus does, but with the defense up too, that could potentially make your Courageous Strikers a little bit more tankier to maybe survive another wave or two. It just really depends on how things spans out and what her timing is. And I'm not going to say that she is going to be a replacement for Dark Venus, because Dark Venus is a Darkmon while this baby girl is a light one, but the way that I think of Light Okeanos is Baby Shark, but literally on crack. And Baby Shark 2 is super universal all around for your Titans teams because of his attack down and attack up. And this is the exact same kit, just slightly tweaked and a little bit more balanced in my opinion. So we'll definitely have to see how this goes. But once again, Baby Shark is absolutely accessible to everyone. This Astromon will not be accessible to everyone. So I wouldn't rely on this once again being a meta changer, but we'll have to see. And lastly here, we do have Dark Okeanos, who is a tank type, and she's coming in with 40k HP, 2.2k attack, and then 2.6k defense. I mean, her stats overall have been fair. There's been nothing like super spicy, but there's been nothing that's terrible other than Wood Okeanos, which I think they just dropped the ball with her, in my opinion. Don't come for me, it's just my opinion. I still think she could sit around 40k HP, but I don't make the game. But for her 3-star skill, she has Weaken, which grants 80% chance to weaken the enemy's attack and defense for 2 turns. And then for the 5-star skill, she has Offense and Defense once again, and this lasts for 3 turns here. I feel like I've seen this kit somewhere else, but I could be tripping right here. Doesn't Dark Draka have a very similar kit? Let's take a look at that afterwards. But anyways, Weaken receives a 20% damage boost and goes up to, what was that, 90% for 2 turns? 90% for 2 turns, and then once again Offense and Defense receives a 25% recovery boost, making those heals more potent. So what I do like though is it doesn't really seem like skill books are a big game changer for her because her values already come out the egg just ready to go. So I think that's nice in terms of investment outside of pulling her and getting her to Evo 2 or Evo 3 in certain situations here. But I did mention Dark Draka, who at this point in time is literally just a meme because I don't know why you would use Dark Draka, especially in a Titan situation when Dark Draka doesn't even heal. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so think of Dark Draka, but actually useful and actually capable of healing you. I knew I saw that skill set up somewhere. I'm like, I know I'm crazy, but I know I'm not that crazy whatsoever. But a little bit more about her skills too. The main selling point of Weaken is obviously lowering the attack and defense of whatever that you're fighting, especially in a Titan situation, just because that helps to mitigate damage here. And then the offense and defense not only applies attack up to your squad, it's a little bit lower than the regular attack up, but also the defense up too. So I'm not going to say that this is a replacement for someone like Dark Venus once again, because while Dark Venus does attack down and attack up, this isn't a mon that's going to be accessible to everyone. So if you can get her and if her timings line up, then in theory things could be very interesting in terms of the Titans meta. But if you can't get her, don't really cry about it. I mean, Dark Venus is available for everyone, even if you can only pick up 2 per year without purchasing. You can still use Gleams and use your Dark Venus until you hopefully one day pull her or just never see her in general. But my overall thoughts on the Okeanos is they're great. I think they are lovely. It kind of sucks that the light and dark ones are obviously the most viable in my opinion in terms of usage, but a lot of players may never see either one of them, which is unfortunate, but we already have mods in place that do the exact same job. She just does a very interesting twist on the jobs that we already have, and without timings and further information of seeing how she is usable in content, I can't go out here and say right now she's a new meta. Only time will tell, but I do think her inclusion into the game is going to be a positive one. And right before we end it, I will give you guys my whole hot take on her elements here. So I think the dark one's obviously number 1 in my book in terms of Astromon to get and build if I could get her, followed by the light one with the attack down and offense and defense. Once again, you can't really go wrong with 3-turn debuffs and 3-turn buffs. Like, it's literally sitting right there for you free. Followed after that though is going to be the water one, which could potentially replace water cure. Could potentially, and this is a lot more accessible to everyone because she is an RGB mon and she's not light or dark, so you don't have to get super lucky, you just have to get lucky enough to pull her, which I think is reasonable, at least for most of us out there. Now there's some of us out there that have been playing the game since its creation and they probably haven't seen a Fire Shinobi or like a Fire Wukong outside of the hero dungeon, which RIP to you, but that's how things go. And then coming in after that, I would say the wood one was probably going to be in the 4th place just because of the whole full buff breaker and the shield part. I mean, it sucks that her HP is lower than what it should be, but I don't make the rules, and she does heal as well. But the full buff breaker is very useful, especially in terms of the Apophis dungeon, of making sure that he can't buff up and just wreck your whole entire squad, and his shield really helps to kind of mitigate damage here. And then the weakest one out the bunch is just fire. But yeah, you guys, that's pretty much Okeanos in a nutshell. I'm definitely looking forward to hopefully pulling her light or dark version in the future. Smart study, make that happen for your boy, please. Not saying that it's going to work, but you know, maybe if you beg, things will happen. But yeah, feel free to leave in the comments below about what you guys think about her, if there is a type in general that you're looking forward to the most. And yeah, that's pretty much it, you guys. See ya.